Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for choosing to watch my video, and if you would subscribe it, like it, all that stuff, that'd be great. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope it gives you the information you need and is helpful to you. Take care. So we're replacing the front brake pads and rotors on a 2003 Ford Ranger. Sure, it works for several makes and models. So we have the master cylinder here, we have a maximum line. I don't really see a minimum line on this side, but that's okay. Try and keep the fluid probably above the seam. When you're collapsing the pistons, you just don't want the fluid running out. Brake fluid can damage paint, so keep an eye on it. Maybe suck some up with a turkey baster or a clean rag. You can buy something certainly at the parts store. Fluid remover of some kind if you want. Just keep an eye on the level, and that's really it here. And we'll top it off as needed, or take some out as needed. .3 brake fluid. Just kind of clicks on and off. Like so. Alright, there we go. To the brakes. 19mm lug nuts, we'll break them loose or turn or two, and then we'll jack up the vehicle. Use safety stands, protect yourself. Some good metal down here. Or you can jack up both sides. Go in the middle here. Again, use safety stands, protect yourself from injury and vehicles falling. Then you can take the lug nuts off the rest of the way and take the tire off. Bolts, lug nuts. Bolts and nuts are all left to loosen, right to tighten. We got our brake rotor, we got our brake caliper mount, and we have a brake caliper outer brake pad, and on the inside is the inner brake pad. We have some little pieces of bracketry in here on the caliper. Usually like to stick a screwdriver or something and collapse the pistons. And we can check our slides and the pistons to make sure they move before we go too much further. So, well, we can't because of the little metal pieces, so taking out the 13mm bolts. Already broke them loose. Again, left to loosen, right to tighten. Taking those out. And we can kind of work the caliper off, and we can actually just see right now, move pretty nice. I'm happy with that, and then we'll just collapse the piston and make sure that's all good as well. Using a channel locks or C-clamp to collapse them, and they're collapsing just fine. The total sum of 0. You can clean this up or replace it if you get the pieces. Everything's collapsed, and we'll do the same for both sides actually. You kind of want to do that before you start, because if you need a caliper, then you'll get a caliper for both sides is best. So collapse and test both sides before you start replacing parts. That's my best advice. Yep, real life example of what I'm telling you about checking slides. Look at that. And this one does not move. You can see the rust flaking out of there, but it's all rusty in there. It's not moving. So, calipers it is. I'm doing new calipers on the Ford Ranger, so here's my calipers. I probably will take them apart though, so I can get my new metal pieces in. Yeah. Caliper bolts are different sizes. As I often say, don't worry about the bolt size, they can change. $13 to $14. Just gonna push them into place. Friction fit. Pull out, push in. Comes with a little packet of grease. I will put a little bit of lubricant on the ends here where it rides inside here. We'll just do that for all 4 brake pads. So we got our new clips in. Sometimes I will slide this off. Most of the time I'll just slide this off. Then I'll mount this onto the vehicle, and then I'll slide this on. But right now, it wouldn't be a bad time if you want to slide these in. Somehow, there we go. Just like that. And as a general rule, you want to check out your brake pads, make sure there's no design differences. Sometimes there's an inner and outer. See the pins on the outside, but these all seem to have a pin on the outside. So, there we go, onto the truck. Put a new rotor on, you want to get your rotor machined or replaced. Slide it on there, put the caliper bracket on as we talked about on there, and I'm going to torque them down to 85 foot-pounds. Talked about putting the brake pads in the caliper first, but mine just would not stay in place. They're so slippery with that nice lubricant. So I guess we're going to mount this, and then we're going to put the caliper brake pads in place. Find that front tab might be a little tricky on there. Might need to grab it with your fingers. So got that on, and I did mount my caliper on here. So you have a bolt and a washer, then you have the line, and then you have another washer inside here in between, and then you tighten it down. Some calipers may have a bracket inside here. This does not have that setup, but it's just a friction fit. Just pull the old one out, put in a new one, swap it if you can or need to. And we'll tighten these bolts down as well. We'll do the same for both sides. This is your bleeder screw, 10 millimeter. Turn it open. We'll let gravity do the job, and should have some fluid flowing out in 1 or 2 minutes, usually, with the cap off the brake master cylinder, which we showed you previously. 24 foot-pounds for the 2 bolts here, and 25 foot-pounds for the banjo bolt brake hose fitting. I actually opened this up already because I was pressed for time. So open it up, see some fluid burbling out. Just gonna let it gravity bleed like so. We'll top the fluid off and make sure it's full. We'll have someone go step on the brakes 3 or 4 times, and then we'll have them hold the brake pedal down. Then when they're holding it down, we'll open this up. Fluid will flow out, kind of shoot out, and bubbles will come out probably. And once they reach the floor, then they hold it on the floor, and we tighten this back up. And then we have them do it again, pump it a few times. If you do it 4 or 5 times after gravity bleeding, you'll probably be good. We want a nice stream, clean stream of fluid here. It does. All right, we're bleeding now. Pump it. And pump it. Free tea. Okay. Oh, that wasn't tea. Do the same for the other side. And just top off your brake fluid as needed, and make sure you pump your brakes a few times before giving it to anybody. And that's replacing your brake pads. Hopefully I've shown you enough on your brake pads, rotors, and calipers actually as well, since we found out the caliper slide was seized on this vehicle. Good luck to you. Put your lug nuts on when you put your tires on. Tighten them in a crisscross pattern like this, and you can torque them down to about 100 foot-pounds.